Greetings, everyone. Anthony Broome here of the Wolverine.com, live from the press box here in Norman, Oklahoma. Michigan falls 24-13 to the Oklahoma Sooners. And I'm just going to say this up top. If you want to get a question in for this show, send in a super chat. I'll read it. This is going to be pretty quick because I'm going to be back here in 7-8 hours with Ryan Van Bergen, and we'll talk about this game with him. Earmuffs. This was mostly a non-competitive shit show. And I'm sorry to start it like that way. You use an expletive, it shows that you don't have a great vocabulary, but that game was not as close as the score indicated. We'll just go to this $4.99 super chat right off the bat from Bradley Knapp, who says, tonight was abysmal. Play calling was horrible. I've lost faith in Chip. The OL is weak. Wide receiver 1, Donovan McCulley, not knowing the plays, missed kick and arguing teammates. It was a disaster across the board. Sherrone didn't have this team ready to play. They were very fortunate that the football gods were on their side and gave them every chance, every break. Michigan got every break in this game. Oklahoma made every play. Oklahoma ran an offense that even when it made mistakes, and it did not look like pulling teeth. Michigan's offensive line was piss poor last year. It was not good to end the year still, but good enough. And it still is bad. And now you're injured. Gio El-Hadi's in a walking boot tonight. It starts there with me. This is a program loss. I don't think they didn't tackle well. They weren't aware enough of the QB run, the John Mateer side of things. Going to be a lot of red and orange tackling grades. The offense. I'll just say this about the offense, and people will push back on this because Bryce Underwood went 9 for 24 for 142 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Ran once? Had one sack-adjusted rush for 9 yards late in the game. He was one of the only guys out there that did not look rattled. And the infrastructure around him was dog water. The interior of the offensive line didn't matter if your starters were out there. It didn't matter if your backups were out there. It didn't matter if you were rotating guys. It didn't matter if you had 6 guys and 7 guys in. Put 10 guys out there. Their offensive line's not good enough. And that is a referendum on Grant Newsom 2 years into this. That is a referendum on Sherrone Moore. And I'll just say this, all offseason we've heard about how great Juan Castillo was going to be for them. Legendary offensive line coach. Make him the offensive line coach then. If he's such a net positive. I don't see the fire. I don't see the physicality, the poise. I mean, whenever they play good defensive tackles, it's rough. And to their credit, the few times tonight when everything was blocked well, especially the first play of the second half, Justice Haynes' 75-yard run, that's exactly what you want to see, hat on a hat. What a concept, right? Not having Marlon Klein was a tough draw. Wide receivers, Donovan McCulley doesn't know the plays yet. He's been here since January. He's got the number 1 jersey on. Credit to him, 45-yard reception on a deep ball from Bryce Underwood. There was not a single area of this game. Even Dominic Zavada missed a field goal. You don't miss that. It's a 1-score game. And Bryce has the ball in his hands. The Michigan offense has the ball in their hands late. They have got to get him running this thing out of the shotgun or something, because the interior of the offensive line, it's not going to get better if you bench someone. You just got to give this guy an opportunity to make a play, get him on the move. And that doesn't mean you're running him like Lamar Jackson or Cam Newton. But you got to get him on the run and let him make a play. You can't coach this like they coached it last year. You just can't. $4.99 super chat from Juju Noriega says, O-line is straight booty. Grant has to go. The D looked mid, same as the first 8 games of last year. Do we get 6 wins? Yeah, listen. In the grand scheme of things, I had this chalked up as a loss. I think you need to get one of these next 2 road games. You go to Nebraska in 2 weeks without Sherrone Moore, which we'll see what type of impact that has. Still have game management questions about him across the board. And then you go to USC in week 6. You got to get one of those games, or else you're not going to the college football playoff. Now, the second half of the schedule, I get it's a good runway into that Ohio State game. But Michigan State looks better. Washington's a good team. I can't sit here and, I've got guys arguing on the sidelines. You've got guys taking stupid penalties. You've got guys jumping off sides. It's not a well-coached team. And this defense, listen, I get that Wink and the defense are going to take a lot of arrows for this. Those guys, they kept you in the game. TJ Metcalf makes a play to keep you in the game. If you told me Oklahoma had scored 24, I feel pretty good about that. But, every time John Mateer, it was clear to all 84,000 people in this building that he was going to run the football, no one stopped it. You drop an interception. Next play, it's a 34-yard shot down the sideline. There was a lack of poise, and there's a lack of execution that some of the top-end talent on your roster last year, i.e. Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Colston Loveland, cover up. And Marlon Klein may as well have been Colston Loveland because you had no passing game without him tonight. So I'm not out on Bryce. I'm not out on this offense even. Chip Lindsey, I get it. Not a great game plan. You can't get anything off the sheet when your offensive line plays as poorly as they do. That, when Michigan has good teams, those guys are the engine of this thing. And it was terrible. And their solution for that in the portal this year, I'm not dogging on the guys. I'm dogging on the process. The 2 guys you brought in were an FCS up transfer and a D2 up transfer. Brady Norton at times looks lost out there. Nathan Afobe, not much better. And now Gio Al-Hadi is out. Those are your 2 starting guards. Greg Crippen was portaled over 3 years in a row. They've been waiting for him to take that next step. And you are what you are at this point in your career. I'm sorry. I know a guy like Andrew Vistardis had a 5th-year sort of renaissance where he was the straw that stirred the drink and a captain on that offensive line. Greg Crippen is not Andrew Vistardis, and he's certainly not Olu Oluwatimi or Drake Nugent. And it's no disrespect to the kid. It's what's on film. So, I said coming into this game that I would not be overly upset with a somewhat close loss. Even in, there are 11-point losses that could have happened where it doesn't look like that. They were extremely fortunate. And Oklahoma didn't dominate them to the extent that, like Texas did when they came in last year in week 2 to Ann Arbor. But that was a butt whipping. And your defense, again, they're going to take shots. The tackling was bad. Some of the penalties were bad. They did everything they could, like they did at times last year. So you just need to get better. It's week 2. Season's not over. Schedule is very manageable. If you can get one of these next 2 road games, you play CMU next week. There's no reason you shouldn't put 40 or 50 on them. Sorry. I'm a CMU alum. Proud of CMU alum. I don't want to see that game be competitive because I have a professional obligation to see things be thorough, decisive. You need to get some momentum back next week. It needs to be a laugher because you're going to go play a Nebraska team in 2 weeks without your head coach, who I think, and mind you, I think it was Akron they put up a 50-burger tonight. So there's a lot of growth that needs to take place. And some of it can't take place until the offseason. There's not a bona fide wide receiver 1 that you can go get for this offense until December, January. You can't go get 2 starters on the offensive line until December or January. So how do you get better now? I think it starts with, I don't know if there's much to learn from this game. To a certain extent, you burn the tape for the defense. You take note of the things you got on, so to speak. But and I'm going to give Oklahoma credit too. I mean, we're 11 minutes into this. I haven't given them their props yet. John Mateer's a dog. He is a gamer. He's a guy that I think will be in New York in December. Made a couple mistakes in this game, but in the gotta have it moments, the gotta have it throws, he was Baker Mayfield. He was Kyler Murray. He was very much in line with some of the quarterbacks that they've had here at Oklahoma over the years. So give credit to them. They look good. Not as good as they could have, but that's a team that's going to get better. And they needed this one. And if we're being honest, they needed this one more than Michigan did. I think their schedule's tougher. Brent Venables is somewhat on the hot seat heading into tonight. They needed this one. So this is kind of a moment for them. So you tip your cap. And I'll say this too. Fans in Norman, the atmosphere, outstanding. Something I'd never seen before is, everyone plays a hype video before the game. Oklahoma's hype video was pitting the traditions of the two programs against each other. It was a celebration of two college football blue bloods. I wish the game had lived up to that. But the experience was great and has been great outside of the game, which, is the reason you make the trip. So whatever. I really don't. I have super chat here from Shane Johnson for $10. He says, fire the offensive line coach, all these 4-star guys, and none of them are coached up. This looked like Belleville playing Oklahoma. Embarrassing. Number one, and Bryce botched 2 TDs on either knowing the play that was called atrocious. 9-3 would be a gift. That's the magic number. I think this team needs to find. I picked them to go 10-2. This was one of those losses. They go out and lose these next 2 road games. That's going to affect that. But they don't. They're not even close to ready. Not even close. So I don't think it'd be a gift, but tonight was bad. Tonight was really bad. And at some point, you're going to have to make a decision where are you going to waste a year of development on Bryce Underwood, having him dink and dunk and go vertical or go horizontal with the passing game? Or are you going to let this guy rip it down the field? Are you going to let this guy get on his high horse, make a decision, and get out the back door when he needs to run and make a play? Because the training wheels are on. That's very clear to me. Some of that's the offensive line. Some of that's the pass catchers. Again, didn't have that full menu of guys tonight. But that's going to be – tonight was a big-time learning experience for him. And if there's anything to take away with it, maybe it is that he's a guy that throughout the offseason they said would make mistakes but didn't often make the same mistake twice. You still got that bird in hand. You still have the 5-star quarterback. Let this kid grow. And this game's no different if they don't get Bryce Underwood and Miller Moss is here instead, or Darian Mensah is here instead. Watch him turn the ball over again today against Illinois. He's only going to get better from this, but everything needs to get better around him, including the play calling, including the protection, and quite frankly, including his head coach, who I'll just say this, that Ohio State game is doing a lot of heavy lifting right now. And maybe that honeymoon to a certain extent is kind of over when you come out here and play a game like this. He's taunting the crowd like, WWE wrestler, and he's telling them to get louder, and he's doing this to the crowd. And now he's gone for 2 weeks. So whoop-de-hoo, right? So there are lessons to take. It stings in the here and now. But that was that game was not as close as the score would indicate. And in those moments where you could have made it a 1-touchdown game or whatever it was, you didn't make the play. And you saw what good teams do. I mean, Oklahoma didn't have its fastball tonight, but when push came to shove, it went on a 16-play, 78-yard drive at the end of the game. Put 3 points on the board. You're done. Game over. So a lot to improve on. a lot to move past and clean up and get better. The thing this is a learning experience, and this is a game where you do learn about how you respond is so important. And Sherrone, I believe, can coach this week leading up to the game. But then once that game day comes, he's then gone until after the Nebraska game. So this is a very important week for the trajectory of this season. It really is. I think you were outcoached. I think that in the gotta have it moments, you were outplayed. And when the football gods gave you a crease, so to speak, you couldn't take advantage. And you know what? I know a lot was made about the Bryce Underwood, Justice Haynes sideline thing. I kind of like that. Because, when Justice Haynes scored that touchdown, who's running down the field to celebrate with him first? His quarterback. So that's the type of passion you want to see. And honestly, the body language was bad tonight. It really was. So defensively, I think there are things to clean up. But again, this was a repeat of last year where your offense did you absolutely no favors. And your special teams, too. I haven't even talked about that. Dominic Zavada does the heavy lifting there, and he misses a field goal tonight. And then your punting is bad, and your coverage units are iffy. I know Cole Sullivan's a dog, by the way. Shout out to him. He's going to get a game ball tonight when I have to somehow come up with 3 of them and a couple honorable mentions. But you just got to put this one behind you. There are 10 regular season games to go. If you have designs on playing in the postseason, there's much more than that on the line. So no one wants to hear your goals are still ahead of you, but you just kind of have to burn this one. Nick Christensen for $4.99 says, seems like Sherrone wants to win games by exploiting areas where we ought to have an advantage, but not where we have an advantage. That's rough. It is rough. You can't manifest. I can't even say that. I think there was the moment where Bryce had the 9-yard rush, 2nd and 1. Now your mentality's smashed. So you're looking to run up to the line of scrimmage. And if you're the smash program, you're running that football, moving the chains. Michigan calls a pass play because they don't like what they see out there. They have to call a timeout. Get the first down. A couple plays later, you take a sack. It's 2nd and 15. You burn another timeout. It was like 2 timeouts in the second half and 3 or 4 snaps. And some of that, again, it's these freshman quarterback growing pains that are built into the storyline of what this season is. That second timeout was because Bryce was about to let the play clock run out. But how this is managed and coached from top to bottom, it's just got to get better. It's got to get better. GoBlue 982 says for $5, really, y'all, it's game 2. I never thought we'd win this. It's a night road game in a tough house. The reactions are why U of M fans are called arrogant. I think it's just all about how it looked. Like I said, I think you could have lost by 10 and played much better. I think you could have, even playing the way they did, you had the ball a few times with a chance to make this a 1-score game or, tie the game or at least get a little bit closer. Obviously, that missed field goal looms large. Would have been 24-16 when that last drive started. But, you see these fissures and these decisions that kind of snowball on them. Got to get it back. I still, from a baseline perspective, I like where this team is much more than last year's team. But every 2 weeks, it seems like there's a test here until you get to that 3 or 4 game stretch in November. And then obviously we know how the year ends. So I think I'm pretty much going to leave it at that. Last call for any super chats. Again, I will be back with Ryan Van Bergen early tomorrow morning. We will record the show and then post it. So quick turnaround there. He's going to give it a second rewatch. I'll give it a second rewatch. Prayers needed on that front. I have no interest in rewatching this game because nothing went right. And it was a pretty hard watch live. the first time. I don't like last week I was on here and said, I think a rewatch is going to be better. I don't think I'm going to feel any better about this when I rewatch it. So, yeah, that's going to do it. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You're going to get, you hit that bell. You're going to, the next time a video is posted, the next time we go live, you're going to get a notification right on your cellular phone there that we are live. So take advantage of that. Promo code UM1 will get you 2 months of access to our site for only a single $1. Best deal in America, as our Clayton Safey says. So for the Wolverine.com, I'm Anthony Broome. Thanks for hanging out on a quick post game. I will talk to you again on Sunday with former Michigan defensive lineman Ryan Van Bergen. Get some sleep, y'all. Later.